What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the What the Fun Show. My name is Mike, and today we are continuing our Halloween series on the franchise Halloween, that is, the new continuity, with our review of Halloween 2018. Yeah, they chose the same name. This is a reboot of the franchise, and we're going to talk about the sort of a little bit of the history behind what they did here with jumping in time. But first, let me introduce you to my co-host, Justin. How you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing great. I can't wait to talk about this. Try to not hint on all the gripes I have with it, but I will try my best to talk about how good of a movie it is because it is very good.
Yes, I will squash those gripes. Who knows? Anyway, if you're listening to us, thank you so much. We're in the middle of spooky season, so listening to this, we have our review of the original Halloween from 1978. We'll have that down below in the description. We'll also have a review of Hocus Pocus, as well as a review of the newest Hocus Pocus. So by the time this episode is airing, we'll have all of those spooky seasons for you. So go take a listen. We'll have them linked down below. And if you're listening to us on a podcatcher of choice, please leave us a review. It greatly helps us, as well as follow us on that particular platform you use. And leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify, mobile only. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Like the video and comment down below what you thought of Halloween 2018. Yeah, that's all the housekeeping that we got. Let's get into Halloween 2018. So this came out in 2018.
Yeah.
On October 19th. It is directed by David Gordon Green. And what was very interesting is that, David Gordon Green has directing under his chops. He has some horror stuff too. But the odd thing coming into this Halloween reboot was Danny McBride was a co-writer with David Gordon Green as well as Jeff Fradley. And Danny McBride, I don't know if you know this, listeners, but we didn't, before this, we were confused because he's a comedy dude.
Yeah.
And Justin, kind of like a weird turn of events that we saw, but ultimately, do you think it worked out?
Yeah, I think it worked out fine. I think it really showed his caliber of what he's capable of. I guess that was redundant, but what he's capable of, and I'm okay with it. I was excited to see the Olympics in Haddonfield in 2018.
Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna move on from that. And obviously this is based on the original characters by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, produced by Malik Akkad, and Jason Blum is there. It does star Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, Andy Matichuk, Will Patton, Virginia Gardner, as well as Nick Castle reprising his role as the Shape, but more prominent in the movie is actually James Jude Courtney, who does most of the work for Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the music. Let's talk about the music here quick, because John Carpenter and his son, Cody Carpenter, actually scored this movie along with some help from Daniel Davies. Man, Justin, talk about one of the most iconic film scores in all of cinematography history in Halloween, to reprise their roles and, I would say, one-up it. And I will even go as far as to say that Halloween Kills one-ups the original version as well. So I mean, they're just killing it, dude.
Yeah, definitely took that signature sound that we knew, that score from the original, that held weight alone, and added more bass to it, add a little bit more treble in there as well, and made it almost unique enough to make it modern as its own. And I'm okay with that. And I agree. They've been working on it to make it even more impactful for the themes of the movie, which it did justice.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one in 2018, the Halloween theme in this just has a little bit more of a rocky feel, has a little bit more guitar, but I think it is close to the original.
Hmm.
Whereas we'll talk about in Halloween Kills, our review of that should be coming out next week as of this release here. But that one has more of an orchestral feel to it. And that is actually my favorite theme that John Carpenter has done. So we'll talk about that a little bit more on our review. All right, let's talk about it. Budget of 10 to 15 million. I think they went with a low budget, took a shot, and we're going to see if this was going to become a franchise. I think so. That I think they started low, and they did well with it. 255 million coming back in the box office. Honestly, this was a smash hit. The return of Michael Myers was not Halloween 5. Just the general return of Michael Myers to theaters was a big hit, Justin.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people, including Michael Myers himself, were running to the theater to come and go and see it. Could
Yeah.
not wait.
Mm-hmm.
It is a comeback story, something that we grew up
Michael
with,
Myers
and bringing
doesn't run, by the way.
it. Yeah, so like, sure, got to that theater to watch it because it's really a childhood. It's nostalgic. On top of
Mhm.
let's modernize it, let's get it going again for the new culture.
Mhm. And they just took a historical villain, a slasher villain, and they upped the ante. They brought it to modern times, as you said, and I think they did it brilliantly. I love this movie. So let's get into spoiler-free reviews. I'll start. This is my second favorite Halloween movie in all of the Halloweens that have been presented. The original, obviously being the first for me, it is my second favorite movie of all time. So Halloween 2018 had a hard go at trying to one up the original. But I think it got extremely close. Michael is brutal. He's brooding. He's stalkering. That's not a word, but he is perfect in this movie. Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis reprising her role is just phenomenal as well. I think there are some. I have one major gripe with this movie, which is why it does not bring this close to, or it does not usurp the original Halloween. Still makes it close, but we'll talk about that gripe in a second. Yeah, I love this movie. So, Justin, your spoiler-free review.
Yeah, this one was definitely fantastic. The way they drew you in, definitely started a little slower, with some drama and some tension, and then moved into the brutalness of Michael Myers. And they did a really good job at really doing that. Kind of like reseeding us into the storyline. A lot of people haven't watched Halloween movies since Rob Zombies, and they were turned off. Most of them were turned off from that. I hope they were. So especially the second one. Yeah, the first one was great. I like, but whatever. Back to the one that we're talking about today. That was really their last experience with Michael, and this was a very warming feeling, coming in and being like, okay, this is where it's supposed to be, and let's keep it here. And yeah, fantastic, well done, score, music, everything, action. He's a definitely evil incarnate, and we'll get to that. But yeah,
Yeah,
I have some
and
gripes too.
that's
But yeah.
yeah. I mean, the gripe that I have is pretty integral to the story, unfortunately, but overall, it doesn't hurt the movie for me. I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about. But before we get into this spoiler section, I want to talk about, because, if you haven't seen it, we do want to give you that spoiler warning, but I want to talk about this first here. Justin, they took a time jump, and they took a chance by destroying the current continuity of Halloween and the old timeline. And this is a direct sequel to the original Halloween. It is ignoring Halloween 2, like the original Halloween 2. This is a direct sequel. First question I want to ask you is, do you think that was a good choice? And then secondly, do you think it worked?
Yes to both. I think cutting it off after the original was it's hard for me to swallow. That's a hard pill because the second one is one of my favorite Halloween movies. With the
Mhm.
hospital scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think for the the story that they wanted to tell, they did a really good job just cutting it there, putting the axe down per se, or the butcher knife, and starting off there. I think it was really well done, and it really it grabbed you because you were able to forget about all the stuff that went wrong or the gripes you had with all the original
Mhm.
8, 9 films, and cut right in. And it's an older Laurie. It's perfect. It's that time jump that really sits well with you with story continuity. So I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
Yeah, I was 100% on board with this. I think that the storyline that Laurie Strode was Michael's sister was very muddy, and it certainly got even murkier when you got to like Halloween 4, 5, and 6, specifically 6. But you know, taking that chance, which is something that they did actually with Halloween H2O. They retconned everything. Halloween H2O was a direct sequel to the original Halloween 2. So Michael and Laurie are still brother and sister in that. But to completely retcon that for this one
Hmm.
was the best choice that they could have made. And this doesn't spoil anything, so I'm just going to say it. It's because and we've talked about this in our original review of Halloween 1978. It's because this was the best choice to create a Michael Myers that was purely and simply evil, like Dr. Loomis says in 1978. Whereas whereas what we talked about in our review, the the storyline that Laurie Strode was his sister. What there was sort of a motive that Michael Myers had, whereas
Hmm.
in this new continuity, the motive is gone. It's just an evil character, an emotionless character that is just going to be a serial killer, and that is what made this work so much. And certainly there are some plot threads and they'll talk about that, why Michael Myers is going after Laurie. Is it actually Laurie? Is it just he's evil? And I think that they put themselves in the best place by retconning all of the original movies except the 1978 original. So,
Hmm.
all right, let's get to it. Spoiler free review and all that stuff is done. So if you have not seen Halloween 2018, consider this your official spoiler warning. Hey, you.
What the?
What are you doing?
Who, me?
Do you want to be spoiled? No? Well, then,
Stop it. Get some help.
so you don't feel like this guy. Instead, let it be a surprise.
Oh, I like surprises.
So go watch the thing before you move on in the podcast, okay?
Alrighty then.
All right, that was our official spoiler warning. Let's get into the plot, Justin. On October 29th, 2018, Michael Myers, who has been institutionalized at Smiths Grove Psychiatric Hospital for 40 years following his killing spree in Haddonfield, is being prepared for transfer to a maximum security prison. Now, fans of the Halloween series know that transferring Michael Myers is the dumbest idea that you could possibly think of.
Yeah, definitely foreshadowing there. Really transferring any criminal is definitely setting up for failure. Someone of the high of this caliber that can move so fast and kill so many people.
Yeah.
Definitely a bad mix of juju.
So, yeah, and just to, just going into Halloween Kills a little bit, that Halloween Kills does give us a little bit more insight as to what happened on Halloween night of 1978. And Michael was caught that night. So we kind of get to see that in Kills. So let's wait for our review next week. But he was caught that night, and so he is institutionalized. And they had to bring it to modern times, right? No newspaper is going to come over and try to interview Michael Myers. So true crime podcasters, Aaron
Yeah.
Corey and Dana Haynes, visit the hospital. And during their encounter, Aaron does display the mask that Michael wore in 1978 to him. And Michael doesn't budge.
Yeah, it was really interesting to take them out on the yard or recess,
Mhm.
and see
Yeah.
Michael basically chained to a cinder block because they didn't want him running away. They wanted him to stay in one place. So he was kind of
Mhm.
boxed in, and this gentleman just pulls out the mask from the original murders, holds it out at him, and everyone else in that yard starts screaming and going crazy, and like kind of like all of the stuff that he wanted to do was being expressed through everyone else in the yard, and he was just standing very, very still.
Mhm. Yeah, and like, the mask doesn't necessarily denote the evil,
Hmm.
but it certainly personifies it, right? So that is what was extremely cool about this opening scene, was exactly your point. Everybody around him is unprepared, really,
Hmm.
to be seeing that mask. They know that it is evil, but Michael just knows that he is evil, and he is sort of tied to the mask a little bit. I mean, he wants that mask. He does not want to be seen. He likes to have this emotionless face, as far as showing you the evil, but he's not phased by it. And so I thought this was a really good opening scene, and as it, you love cinematography, but like it's not like a scene transition or anything, but like as it's heightened, as the volume is heightened, as people are going crazier and crazier, it just automatically cuts to the title screen and
Hmm.
starts John Carpenter's new version of the Halloween theme. And I thought that was really, really impactful.
Yeah, it definitely, as a viewer, knowing the capacity Michael can take, and the heightened volume and the screaming, say something, the mask outstretched towards him, you were expecting something to really hit you, and the title screen does that, just like the
Hmm.
original 1978 did. It was very impactful, and it really took you back. They did a
Yeah,
great job with that hard cut.
I agree. I agree completely. In Haddonfield, Laurie Strode lives in fear of Michael. She is drinking heavily and rarely leaves her heavily fortified house. She has a strained relationship with her daughter Karen, whom the state took away from her at age 12. And just to finish off this paragraph, Allison, Laurie's granddaughter, does try to maintain a relationship with her grandmother. The night of October 30th, as Michael is being transferred, the bus crashes and patients begin to wander into the road. Who could have seen that coming? Um, but anyway, there's the original Scream Queen with Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, and they sort of slowly introduce the new one, which is Allison and
Hmm.
her gang of friends. And there's a crude joke by her father that was
Peanut
interesting.
butter.
Yeah, peanut butter. Yeah. So anyway, new introduction to Laurie Strode. What do you got, Justin?
So, to see her really, uh, this kind of took away that whole interview scene. But
Yeah.
uh, it showed her very passive to the podcasters, to the true crime. Kind of like, there's nothing to be learned. Move on from it. Let me deal with what I deal with. I don't want to recover from this. I need to be prepared. And she really shows that in her character of her house basically being a trap. But also, she does go to where the bus transfer is going to take place, and she's sitting there with, I believe, a gun and a few alcoholic shooters, which she does down. But she can't come to grips with just killing him right there. She wanted to, but she couldn't come to grips with doing it, and she just screams. And this is another hard cut here, right into another jump scare from
Yeah.
the family. They did a really good job at that, but her character is
Mhm.
really well done even though she's aged, even though she's a much older actress now, I feel like she still holds that weight of what we know her to be, and will I don't think will ever change, no matter what you see her in.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis is a star.
Yeah.
Like, and she is so good. I mean, this is her first role, and for her to come back, with the way that they wrote her character, like she just does a phenomenal job, an absolutely phenomenal job. And to sort of see her transition from just being this sort of, you know, this sort of just like running away babysitter, you know, formidable in a sense in the original, but not necessarily knowing what's going on. And for her to like be like, I have this gut feeling that Michael's going to be transferred and he's going to escape. You know, she just has this gut feeling.
You want to really know the comparison that I take from it is Sarah Connor in the first and second Terminator movies. The first one, she was very passive, not very fighting, running away.
Yeah.
And in the second, she's a hardened veteran of this Terminator, and she wanted to fight back.
Very good.
Very good comparison right there. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, Karen is her daughter, and they are sort of estranged. They're in the same town, but still, Karen doesn't really like her mother and the way that her mother raised her, because we come to find out later on in the movie that Laurie raised Karen to be prepared for Michael as well, and obviously that, you know, to make a walking soldier is not necessarily good for Child Protective Services potentially, but hey, comes in handy a little bit later. We'll get to that. So Allison, she is Laurie's granddaughter, and you know, you really saw them take this character and prepare her to be almost the new Laurie, right, Justin?
Yeah, definitely. Kind of like taking the mantle, the center stage as the character that we all watch on the side story, but also is a very crucial main character. You see her with her friends, you see her in school, you see her interacting with similar-esque elements that the original Halloween Laurie would have done. So I really like that. I like they're bringing in a new face, but also keeping the old around.
All right, so yeah, the night of October 30th, the bus crashes while Micah's being transferred. Everybody saw that coming. The accident causes a father and son to stop to see what is going on. Michael murders them both, takes their truck, and returns to Haddonfield. He still knows how to drive, Justin.
Yeah, he did a very good job the night before, as Loomis would say. I feel like this was the first scene you really see him be brutal. Honestly, that's of the new age. This is what you're seeing now, and he slaughters a father and a son with no remorse. So you know it's going to get good from here on out.
Yeah. On the morning of October 31st, Michael sees Aaron and Dana, the podcasters, visiting his sister Judith's grave. He follows them to a gas station where he kills them both, as well as a mechanic for his coveralls. This is a throwback to Halloween 4, where he does go to a gas station in there and gets overalls. And this is all before recovering his mask from Aaron's car. So this was our first introduction to the new Michael. Absolutely brutal. I love this scene.
The podcasters reached a little bit too far into the fire, I think.
Oh, man, this scene, Justin, was such a good introduction to the new age of Michael Myers, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah, definitely. From the moment you see the boots walk in the door and the weight of the footsteps, you knew that it was only going to get bloody here. And it was very tough to watch because it's very gruesome. But at the same time, that brutality is what Michael is known for now. You know, this was the determining factor really for this new trilogy. And it was a short scene, but it was well done for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just again, like we talked about this in our original review there, and we just talked about how Michael is such a showman in the way that he does. And when he reaches over that bathroom stall and drops the teeth in front of Dana, the podcaster, I was like, oh, dang, it's about to go down. And obviously that bathroom scene, you know, one thing that they did was obviously get rid of the original canon, but they have so many nods to the original canon that just are welcome surprises, welcome Easter eggs. Obviously this bathroom scene is a play on the Halloween H2O bathroom scene. In the Halloween H2O bathroom scene, though, there's no killing, and this one is just extremely brutal. So,
yeah, he's moving quick in this film.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Just still a quick, slow pace, right?
Yeah,
Um,
possibly.
all right. So he does recover his mask. And again, like, Justin, you're a man of cinematography. The way that they show that scene where he's closing the trunk, you see it
He
through
knows
the
how to work a
windows,
trunk.
like, yeah, he knows how to work a trunk. He also knows how to work them angles because they got
The
some
camera
cool
pan.
pics there.
Yeah, they definitely
Yeah.
got a cool camera pan of him putting on the mask and in the light. You know, not scared of the dark. Like, he's in daytime, putting on this mask, not caring, closing the trunk, looking like a badass. Yeah. But yeah, it definitely looked good.
Yeah.
Camera angle is very well done. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna
very
be
good, very good.
tip of the hat for most of the movie because
Yeah.
there's a lot of very good cinematography elements
Yeah.
along with the score kind of backing it, doing well.
And so, you know, that brings me to my next point here, not in the outline, but that mask, the way that they updated the mask to show the decay over the 40 years,
Mm-hmm.
it was so good. Like, I love this mask.
My question is, one of the first gripes I have is how did these two podcasters get their hands on evidence like that? That's
Yeah,
a
I mean,
question.
he said in the movie that he knows a guy,
Yeah.
basically. Like, yeah, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. He paid big bucks for it. Okay, so let's get into it. Deputy Frank Hawkins, who arrested Michael in 1978, tries to convince Sheriff Barker that Michael is dangerous after learning that he has escaped. Good thing, because he's very dangerous. Lori also learns of Michael's escape and attempts to warn Karen, but Karen dismisses her concerns, urging Lori to move on with her life. And what Karen really doesn't understand is that this is going to affect all of Haddonfield. And
Shortly, yeah.
yeah, Karen is just blind to the impact and the severity that she needs to take this. All right. Later that night, Allison finds her boyfriend Cameron cheating on her at a costume party and leaves with his friend Oscar. Let's pause here because this skips over potentially one of the best scenes, and that is the, you know, sort of the introduction of Michael Myers into the town of Haddonfield.
Oh, with the
And
hammer.
specifically with you know, trick-or-treaters everywhere.
Yeah, so
and that was the point too, is that, like, you know, he fits in, quote
Yeah.
unquote, you know, like he's in a costume.
yeah, so literally he was walking down a sidewalk and a kid bumped into him. And that is very
Another callback.
very callback that. And as he walks towards the driveway or towards the garage of this house, the first house he enters, you hear the kids also singing about black cats and ghosts and ghouls, which was the exact song used in the original 1978 for the opening. So lots of little callbacks and nods, and it has that very slow paced walk. It has the sound behind it, and he picks up a hammer and proceeds to enter the house.
Yeah, and he had, you know, it's the continuous camera. This is again another callback to the original scene. I think there's only one cut. I think that they had to do one cut to switch the camera from Michael going from the garage where he grabbed the hammer to that house. But other than that, it is a continuous one. And Justin, I remember seeing this in theaters with you, and like everybody was so scared that Michael was gonna murder that baby. It was
Yeah.
like people, we heard people behind us, they were like, don't do it, and like he doesn't, thankfully. I think that would have been a little bit too far.
Well,
Yeah.
on screen too far, yes. I feel
Yes.
like the child at the beginning with the truck and the father was bad enough for footage, and then people just didn't know how far would it go. But gladly he didn't move to that element. He kept going.
I think the difference is that although that kid was like maybe 11 or 12,
Mhm.
he had a gun, so he
Yeah.
was seen from Michael as a threat.
So
right?
like predator tactics.
A little bit maybe,
Okay.
but at you know, this baby is just sitting there crying. Like, I mean, Michael doesn't have a soul, but he showed the 0.5% of soul that you would need. And I'm thankful that they didn't go too far. So, but this scene is awesome. This scene, one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, just that continuous shot, just seeing Michael go through, and then the murder of the girl in front of the window where she's on the phone. That was brutal. Yeah, it was great. So yeah, good stuff. Or, well, bad stuff. Murder's bad, but this is a horror movie. Okay, we're moving on.
Yeah, let's keep moving. He's moving fast. Moving fast. Let's go.
Yeah, we are moving fast. Okay, so again, Allison finds her boyfriend Cameron cheating on her at a costume party, and leaves with his friend Oscar.
Yeah.
So while all of this is happening, while all this is happening, one of their friends is being babysat. One of their friends, Vicky, is babysitting a boy named Julian, and her boyfriend Dave does show up. They, tell Julian to go to bed, and they, try
Alakazam.
Yeah. But somebody shows up.
Yeah, obviously, Freddy Krueger shows. No, it's Michael Myers.
They fall asleep.
Julian is in bed, and he has to keep the door cracked. He notices some movement in like the closet. He's scared of that. He's scared of a lot of things. He finally sees somebody standing outside his door, starts screaming. Vicky comes back upstairs. Then we get the iconic "Let's close the closet door" 5 times before finally opening it, and just banging into something. So I would just picture Michael on the back of the door, just getting hit in the head like 5 times. And then finally she opens it and gets slashed.
He just like says under his breath, like, just open it already.
Yeah. And finally she opens it, gets a little slash, and Julian goes, "Screw this," and bolts out the door, runs downstairs. He's like, "I'll get help." And he goes downstairs. At that point, Dave, the boyfriend, is in the garage trying to ride a bike and practicing his magic, and hears the screaming, decides to come up, and we don't see Dave's kill, which is interesting. We don't see that, but we do see the body later on. So Vicky is pulled back into the bedroom. Michael promptly closes the door to pose the body because he is a showman. And I don't think we see Julian anymore after that. He kind of just runs out of the house. I don't think we.
Yeah, we don't see Julian until Halloween Kills, actually. So we'll get to.
We do get a call from a police cruiser going by though, as a disturbance, and that's when we get Mr. Deputy Frank showing up at the house.
Yeah,
and he does a slow entrance, kind of like clearing each room by room, doing what he's supposed to do. Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is getting into, I don't have a lot of gripes with this movie. I wish some of these people were less stormtroopery. Like, I think they need to, Michael should be getting hit. He should be getting bulleted. That's not a word. He should be getting shot.
He does. He does, though.
And he does, but man, Deputy Hawkins does not have a good shot. Get this guy in the range.
Not good at all. We do see Dave's body while he's doing his pass through the house, and it is very similar to the propped up on the wall from the original, which is another nod. I'm not sure what the date was on his shoulder. I didn't get to see it. Probably, I think it was October 31st, but I didn't see the actual
October
year.
31st, 2018.
Okay, so it was the date of the movie release, pretty much.
Yeah, or that night. He was commemorating the night that him and Vicky would do things. Family-friendly podcast.
Yeah. Practice the magic.
Yeah, Alakazam. So, yeah, all of this is happening. Laurie sees Michael for the first time in 40 years, and shoots him in the shoulder before he flees. How is Laurie a better shot than a police officer? I don't know.
Well, she gets to shoot her gun every day. She's been practicing every day.
Yeah.
We're not getting into that.
Anywho. So yeah, Michael, he somehow escapes, and there are Laurie and Deputy Hawkins. They know each other. They are well aware of each other. They run into each other, and they, Laurie sort of joins and puts herself in the forefront of planning how to, keep Michael, or get Michael rather. And so the police take Laurie, Karen, and her husband Ray to Laurie's home for protection, and a squad car remains outside the residence. Deputy Hawkins promises to find Allison and bring her to be with the family.
Yeah, so
Okay,
this is the first time that he's been shot in the new series. And this was in the shoulder, and you definitely see some blood fly up when it happens, because I paid attention really close to the details. And then he gets away from Laurie and Deputy, because he moves fast. He doesn't really show any kind of strain after that towards the next scene where you see him. He doesn't really have any limp or anything like that. No, like, hurt arm. He still moves full range of motion. So it's kind of introducing that supernatural element that we'll get more of in Kills, but it's kind of like the first step in that direction, in my opinion.
Yeah. And, just because you hinted on it, I will just say it here. I love the supernatural take that they have done throughout this new trilogy. It's going to be a trilogy here with Halloween Ends, but it's sort of a muted supernatural. It's not like this crazy outlandish story like the Cult of the Thorns, like from Halloween 6, stuff like that. It is, Michael is probably a little bit supernatural here, but he's not like this full blown like curse thing like from Halloween 6.
It's not
which
like
I really enjoy.
It's not like Jason from Friday the 13th. Like I feel like if you to take Michael down, obviously we've thought about this. To take Michael down, I think decapitation would be the only way. And that's just my ruling. I don't think it's going to be like Jason where you could just like reattach it, or Deadpool reattach it. I think it would be the end at that point.
Well, I mean that's what they did in Halloween H2O, right?
Yeah. So like for the new continuity though, like he's not, the supernatural isn't going to make him be able to survive that. He's still got a human element to it, and that's what Mike means by muted. And I like that too.
Yeah. Okay, so Dr. Ranbir Sartain, Michael's psychiatrist and a former student of Dr. Loomis, has sort of been in the background this whole entire movie. So he forced himself on the bus that was transporting Michael. He let the podcasters in at the very beginning, but getting himself on the bus was probably the key moment for his character.
Well, he got shot and he got like he actually shows injury as well. Pretty similar to Michael's shot. So
so he persuades Sheriff Barker to help in the hunt for Michael. And so he buddies with Deputy Hawkins. They're in the cruiser together, and they're patrolling the area trying to find Michael as well as Allison, because they have been tasked to get Allison. And so here is one of the best scenes in all of Halloween. Like, I'm talking any movie. Allison and Oscar are walking home from the party, and Oscar decides to show Allison this shortcut to get to where they need to be going, and it is through somebody's backyard. And Allison, she is already gone after Oscar tries to kiss her, and Allison's like, "Yo, I never wanted that." And so Allison's gone. She's over the fence, and Oscar's all alone in this backyard. Justin, take us into this scene, and then I'll comment after you've taken it.
Well, like, this is going to be Oscar's first appearance, not appearance, but first viewing of what Michael is. He didn't really have hopes Michael was he didn't think Michael was a real thing. Boogeyman was real. He's not going to show up. And all of a sudden, here comes Mike. We've got clothing lines. Here
comes Mike.
Yeah. Well, Mike moves fast in this. He ends up killing Oscar, and geez, it's just like brutal. It's always brutal in this movie. I think the cinematography really took a toll for me, because like I've got the clothing lines going, and you've got like all the the darkness engulfing the area. I like this scene a lot. I don't know. What did you take on it? Oscar,
I,
short-lived?
just it's more. I'm more so talking about the motion lights, the motion
Oh,
sensor lights. That part that was awesome. Like, so Oscar's he's a little drunk. They had a little fun at this costume party, and he's talking to Michael. He's literally having a conversation with Michael. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, so and so,
oh
for going in
yes.
your backyard." And so it was great. And then nobody's moving. So here's the sensor lights, and then they shut off. And then Michael does this thing where he creeps even closer. And then they turn on again, and he turns back, and Michael's like right there in his face. And he's like,
I
"Whoa,
didn't
whoa,
like that.
dude, whoa. You didn't like this? It
No,
was
I didn't.
great. I
I
loved
thought
it.
it was just over the top creepy. Like Mike, I don't like the stop motion like if you had a strobe light on and you'd see it. I don't like that look to the
I
killing.
liked it.
I like to see him slowly going towards the pursuing is what it is, not just the like jump cut. Here he is. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's not how I see Michael. It was interesting, unique for sure.
No, you're a little ridiculous in my opinion. But
He
okay,
just
I
moved
love
too
that
fast.
scene.
Like he could have possibly like just ran from that point to that point that quick.
No, he walked. So Deputy Hawkins then tries to kill Michael. They do end up finding Allison. Allison's like running around asking for help. They find her. Deputy Hawkins tries to kill Michael. He runs over Michael. But Dr. Sartain, who has become obsessed with Michael's enigmatic motivations, attacks and leaves Hawkins for dead. So this is my biggest gripe with the movie.
Okay.
Dr. Sartain, ultimately, I think it is cool that they utilized a character that, you would think he's a pupil of Dr. Loomis, right? You would think that this character, they pulled an okey doke, basically. They pulled one from the Scream franchise, like here is they gave you your expectation that Dr. Sartain is going to be, a decent guy, and he's going to want to make sure that Michael is stopped. They give you that expectation, and then they do flip it on its head. What I don't like about it is the severity in which Dr. Sartain takes it. Like he literally puts on Michael's mask, and tries to pretend that he's Michael for a night. And this obsession just didn't really hit with me. I didn't like Dr. Sartain's character after that. I don't know. What do you think?
I also agree.
Okay.
I saw this as the runner up to Loomis. I wanted it to be a new Loomis, and sadly mistaken.
I didn't even care if he was a new Loomis. Like, I'm okay with him being the plot device to sort of get Michael escaped. But like, I just didn't like how far they took it. I didn't think it was necessary. But they did need something to get Michael over to Laurie. So Dr. Sartain does know where Laurie Strode is. He knows that they are bunkered up at Laurie's home. And so he orchestrates this whole plan to study Michael in the wild. So Sartain then heads towards Laurie's home with an unconscious Michael. How does this Dr. Sartain, he's shot in the shoulder, gets this like 6'4", 250 man in a police car? And I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And then, Michael does wake up, and Allison's just like, Dr. Sartain, you're so dumb. Like, Michael doesn't care about you or Laurie or anybody. Like, what did you think of this like walk up scene where you have the two goofball cops who, that was a play on Halloween 5.
It continues the plot. It's okay. I don't really have anything perfect about that exact moment. I'm like, it's
that kill on Sartain was brutal though.
yes, but that was well deserved. In my book, I was okay with that. I was like, yeah, Michael,
got
woo!
curb stomped.
Yeah, no, I was good with that.
All right, so yes, like I said, Michael wakes up and kills Sartain while Allison flees from the scene. Michael then ambushes and kills 2 police officers that are outside Laurie's home. And
Well,
Again, Michael
can you
is
imagine being
yeah.
locked in a back seat with Michael Myers?
It-
Like,
Heck
eh,
no.
you like can't like he's unconscious, but you know that doesn't stop Mike really.
Oh
Like
my god.
being locked in the
I'd be
back of a car.
freaked out. I'd be freaked out.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're not wrong. All right, so again, as we discussed, Michael is a showman. He wants to show off his work, and Justin, what did you think of the police car trap
head?
To get somebody out of the house?
The head with the fire and the lights.
Flashlight.
Like,
It was a
oh,
flashlight in there. Yeah, it was brutal.
jeez,
Gruesome.
Mike. Jeez. That's taking it to another level right there. You
Mhm.
know, normally you don't get like that kind of stuff. It works.
It was good. It was
Yeah.
good.
It caught me off guard for sure. I was like,
Yep.
I remember in the theater, my eyes got big. I was like, dang, Mike, he's going all in.
Dang, Mike. All right, so he kills Ray in the least brutal way possible, just strangles him. Laurie manages to get Karen to safety before she engages in a showdown with Michael. This was an awesome scene. She's leaning up against the door. Michael breaks through the glass. She's choking her, or he's choking her, and she then is able to get the shotgun into position to shoot Michael's right hand or left hand, and two or three, I think it was two of his fingers off completely.
Yeah.
Just, oh man, brutal.
Those are no longer evil fingers.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. So yeah, we get this section where Laurie then goes and joins Karen underneath the floor. They have like this trap door, this basement.
Yeah, kitchen vault. Kitchen counter vault scene underneath the countertop that slides and is mechanically opening and closing. Pretty cool. Laurie's been really working at making this house almost like a cage, which is mentioned.
Yes. So Laurie Dunn shoots through the floor a couple times, and then Michael's like nowhere to be found. So she's just like, all right, Karen, I gotta finish this. So she goes out of the trapdoor, and she goes around her house and searches for him. And like you said, this is a cage. All of her rooms are outfitted with, a button, and that when you press that button, a steel door slides down and completely closes off the room because she's trying to trap Michael.
Yeah.
And so she gets to the final room where there's a bunch of mannequins. Michael once again is a showman, and he puts Ray in the closet, and sort of tricks Laurie thinking that Michael is in the closet. Well, it gets to the point where she's looking around the room still with a flashlight. Those mannequins kind of throw her off. Michael jumps out of the mannequins by throwing one away, and then it takes 2 steps to Laurie, and then we got a showdown.
Yeah, if that's how you want to put it.
Yeah,
that's not how I saw it, fans and listeners alike. But he moves very briskly to grab her and get that shotgun away from him, because he's obviously been shot a couple times in this movie already and lost a few fingers. But
not by a shotgun, in the body. Just the fingers. So he knows a shotgun's going to do some damage.
Yeah, so he has to move rather quickly to get that gun out of this trained veteran's hands. Makes sense. Catches you off guard. Takes a very quick 2 steps. Record breaking.
Yeah, one might say. Only one might say. Anyway.
I would say rather quicker than his normal speed.
It's just a regular 2 steps, but Michael goes and fights Laurie. Laurie ends up getting stabbed by Michael. He forces a knife into her abdomen, and again, another point where it harkens back to the original. Michael then throws Laurie off her balcony. So a little bit of reverse, and I loved it. I loved every second of this.
I loved the camera pan because it was the exact same camera pan to see her body on the ground. where
Yeah.
it just panned over the edge and you just see her laying in this, almost a similar esque, body laying. And it
Yeah.
was well done. Well done. Michael's on top this time instead of him being on the bottom.
Yep. And then Allison shows up at that point, and Michael turns. He turns to notice that Michael is in the house, and then he turns back, and Laurie is gone. Just like 1978, where Michael was gone. Michael's like, "Oh, she okey doked me."
Yeah, she can also move fast in this movie, apparently.
Yeah, she's of the swiftness, a lot faster than Michael. So when Michael goes to check Laurie's body, he finds it missing. Karen pretends to break down in tears and calls out for his mother, luring Michael and allowing her to shoot him in the jaw. So Karen knows exactly what she's doing. I really, really enjoy that part. Michael, though, like, this was awesome. He doesn't figure out the trapdoor. He's like, screw this. I'm just going to push this trapdoor out of the way. And then he shows up, jump scares Karen, but Karen wasn't scared. She was like, haha, got you. Shoots him in the jaw. Laurie suddenly reappears. If I remember correctly, I think this is one of your gripes of the movie. Like, you didn't like Laurie showing up like Michael did with the dark room in 1978.
The exposure was just her face, and she was literally like Happy Halloween or whatever, and stabs him and kicks him down the stairs. I didn't like that. I felt like she should have been absent for the last part, and the roles should have been really on Allison and her mother for the rest of the film to kind of like take that mantle. That was my original gripe from the theater.
I disagree with that. But I do agree with the Happy Halloween line. Like, that just shouldn't have been done. It shouldn't have been said, because that scene is a callback to my favorite scene in Halloween, where there is this light that gradually gets brighter and just shows Michael's face. And that's what they were trying to do. They literally could have just done the same thing. They could have just shown Laurie's face, and then Laurie jumps out and finishes the job. Like, that Happy Halloween line is what was like, why? Like, why are you there?
Yeah, it could have quickly, briskly gotten out of that movie and it would have been just fine.
Yeah. So Laurie makes quick work of Michael. They get him down into the basement, and it is come to find out that this is a trap house. Like, she has built this house to get Michael in the basement, trap him in there, and then set the house ablaze. So Laurie says goodbye to Michael. She puts the fire on, and then they quickly get out of the house to find a passerby vehicle to get to the hospital. There is a final shot of the burning basement is shown, and Michael is nowhere in sight. And then there is a post-credit scene later afterwards that Michael is breathing hard, indicating that he survived, and there's going to be another movie.
Yeah, he was hiding somewhere in the basement.
Yeah, we'll get that. We'll get to that in Kills.
Yeah.
So, just in Halloween 2018, we're gonna rank it here. That is the movie. Before we rank it though, I want to talk about the other okey doke, because we do know what happens in Halloween Kills. We don't know what happens in Halloween Ends, but they made it seem like sort of that Halloween 4 issue with Michael's niece and the knife, and her turning into a killer and killing one of her step-parents in that movie. They kind of did this pan of showing Allison with the knife. And it's sort of, I remember, I know you remember this too, but I remember in 2018, people were speculating that Allison was going to become a murderer, the next like Michael or whatever.
You see, the problem with that and why people thought that was because the last film they saw was Rob Zombie 2. And that's why that storyline was, I know spoilers if you haven't seen it, but that storyline was in there. That kind of someone else picking up the mantle. And I can see it, but I think it was more shown as she has blood on her hands now. And she is part of this now. She has lived it, and she is a new Laurie. She is someone that has been through the heck that Laurie has, or the hell that Laurie has,
Yeah.
from the original. So I think that's what it was really done. It was a freeze frame too. It wasn't continuous zoom. It was zoom to
Yeah.
a point, and then it froze that picture.
Mhm.
So that's why I think it wasn't like a think more of this. Think of like she's part of this now.
Yeah, it was a good okie doke because it fooled people for 2 years.
Why would you want to be
for
fooled that way?
Actually, 3 years at that point. Until Halloween Kills comes out. So let's get our official rankings here, Justin. Out of 5, Halloween 2018. Where do you rank it?
I'm gonna briskly put this at a 4. I believe this deserves a 4. It can't stand up to the original in my book, but it is a very great film. And it's definitely a must watch if you're a Michael Myers fan, if you're a Halloween fan or a slasher fan, Scream, any of the old schools, you'll enjoy it. Start off here, get to Kills with us, and then go see Ends. Should be a good time.
So, if you're listening to this, in my Hocus Pocus review, I said this was a high 3. This one's a very high 4 for me. So, like, I will put it at a 4, because I don't think it hits the same feels for me as Halloween 1978 does. But this movie was done so well to get rid of all of the canon to make this a direct sequel to the original movie was a very bold choice, and I think that they executed it almost flawlessly. I think the Dr. Sartain stuff is my biggest gripe with it, and I think that brings it just a hair below 1978. So, all right, I got a 4 on 2018. Justin's got a 4 as well. Let us know what you thought of Halloween 2018 down in the comments or in a podcast review. We would really appreciate it. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at WhatTheFunPod and connect with us there. Justin, you can find at rubberduck_2500 on Twitter, and you can find me at StayAtHomeGamer, where the O in home is a 0 on Twitter as well. And stay tuned for our Halloween Kills review and ultimately our Halloween Ends review. For Justin, my name is Mike. This has been our Halloween 2018 review and the What the Fun Show. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye. Say something.